Hey, I'm Seth Hawkins. Welcome to the CedTalks Podcast. My guest today is the new superintendent right here in Calvert County, Maryland. Looking forward to speaking with them. Very wise man. I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to offer and share. Right now, here is Dr. Andraè Townsel. Dr. Townsel, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Cedric, for having me.
I'm so glad to have you on. Like, literally, I've manifested this for months now. As soon as I heard you were on board, in my head, had all the wheels turning, like, gotta have him on the show. What am I going to ask him? And I could just sort of visualize all of this happening. And right now, here we are chatting, and I appreciate your time.
No, thank you for reaching out, man, and whatever I can do to share some knowledge and best practices, I'm always excited to contribute.
Absolutely. So right now, it's September 29th. We've been in school now for about a month now. Overall, how has this experience been for you working here in Calvert County Public Schools as a new superintendent? What has that been like for you?
Man, listen, it's been an amazing experience. First of all, I have an amazing team from all of my chief administration here in the district office. Phenomenal. A lot of institutional knowledge, principals, a lot of high-level, highly qualified principals that can lead anywhere in the country. We have them right here in Calvert County, and the teachers are amazing, man. I had an opportunity to, go to a lot of our schools. We had a great opening to the school year, and teachers are doing amazing things for kids already. So, man, I'm still fired up and I'm still ready to go.
Yeah, some of the changes that you're looking to make into the county are like really good and really big. I know some people have heard about it, some people haven't, but with your new position here in the county, what kind of changes are you looking to make to kind of put us on the map, make us stand out from other districts within the state of Maryland?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Well, first of all, I want to say that my biggest focus is the AAAs, enhancing the student experience and increasing academic achievement with the AAAs, and that is academics, athletics, and the arts. When I talk about academics, I'm looking at everything, man, trying to support our lowest performing students and higher performing students. At the same time, we call that raising the floor and ceiling at the same time. So potentially looking and exploring for international baccalaureate diploma opportunities for all of our high schools. I believe we can probably be the only county in the state of Maryland that offer IB programming at our high school level. And for our low performing students, look at tutoring and mentoring programs, mainly tutoring, to ensure that they're getting exactly what they need to close whatever achievement gaps that we have here in the district. With regards to athletics, not only do we have amazing athletics in Calvert County, but I know there's a conversation going on around turf fields. So why not have that conversation and close that conversation and see if that's something that we can do for our young people in Calvert County, if we can install turf fields at all 4 of our schools. I'm ready to explore that conversation to see what's possible. In addition to introducing electronic sports or esports to Calvert County Public Schools. In my previous district, I have the privilege of opening a state-of-the-art esports lab for our student athletes who were, not necessarily a basketball player, football, volleyball, but play sports through video games. So we got that league going there, and the goal is to explore and see if that's something possible for our young people here. And with the arts, unpacking that, looking at language arts, visual arts, performance arts, we have a lot of young people who are talented in music and singing, and how do we support the arts here in Calvert County Public Schools?
Nice. What made you want to focus on those 3 A's? Why did that become your target of focus when you got to this position? I know you've had other previous experience as a superintendent, assistant superintendent. So what made you want to focus on those 3 A's?
I believe every young person falls into one of those categories, whether you have your young people who are just all about the curriculum and instruction of the district. We have young people who are, love sports, you know what I mean? And then we have young people who love the arts. I think all categories, with those 3 categories, young people fall in each slot, and ultimately whatever enrichment opportunities. And I'm trying to lead by example. I had the privilege of taking my academics seriously by ultimately earning a terminal degree, a doctorate from Howard University. With regards to athletics, I was a student athlete in high school and earned a football scholarship and had an opportunity at the professional level. And with regards to the arts, my natural talent is drawing, but I've made music. I'm an award-winning songwriter. I think, leading by example, I may be able to model some of the information for our young people.
Yeah, I like that. I like that inclusivity of those 3 A's. You're willing to make everybody feel like they're matter and that they're important because, like you said, with those 3 A's, there's every student within each school that fits into those categories. And one group isn't feeling like they're left out. It's like everybody is involved with something. They can identify and relate with something. And that's something that's just incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Your love and passion for education, how far back does that go? Did you know when you were younger that you wanted to be an educator, or was that as you just got older?
Oh, that's a great question. I did not know at all. My passion for education came, I believe, when I went to college. But I'll say, growing up in Detroit, Michigan, I'm a graduate of Detroit Public Schools. I did not have an exemplar education experience. But I do know that my life is the way it is today because of some of the educators that I encountered in my life, whether they were, subject area teachers, football coaches, counselors. I ran into young educators who spoke life into me, and it changed the trajectory of my life. When I went to college, my goal was to become an engineer. I like to draw. So I was recommended to become a civil engineer. But the reality is I had a difficult time getting my grade point average up to transfer into the School of Engineering. So in order to stay eligible as an athlete with the NCAA, you had to have a percentage of your major completed by the time you went into the next season. And I didn't have that. But being in a School of Arts and Sciences, I had a lot of general credits going towards something in the Arts and Sciences school. And ultimately, I settled on being a physical education teacher. And I say that because I had a goal of engineering, but I couldn't do that. So I was scrambling to find a major so I can ensure that I graduate. But when I became a physical education major, I fell in love with teaching because when I did my internships in student teaching, I realized that I could be for young people that people were for me that actually got me to Howard University. So it's now my life mission to ensure that as an educational leader, I change the trajectory of young people's lives for the positive.
Yeah, that's good. I kind of have a similar story to that too. When I started off at college, I was computer science because that's what my family wanted me to do, but I knew in my heart I didn't want to do it. So I changed it up and went to, journalism because I like to write. I've always loved to write. But when I started working at a daycare my sophomore year of college, I realized that I loved working with children, and I started dipping my toes into education courses, and I loved doing that, loved getting the chance to do observations with kids. And I was always told by my grandfathers that if you do something that you love as a career and it doesn't feel like work, then that's your calling. And sometimes it doesn't really feel like work. Of course, a job is a job, but when you get up in the morning and you're just ready to go to work and do your job, then you found your calling. And that's just when I found my niche, and I've been doing this now for about 3 years now, close to 4 years. And, wow. I love it. And I just want to keep, elevating and growing.
Absolutely. I don't feel like I work a day in my life.
Nice. So with that being said, with the work that you've done over the years, how have you prioritized your mental health? How have you considered that?
Thank you for that question because it's important to secure your oxygen mask before you do it for somebody else. If you are just referencing flying. But honestly, man, what I do is, and thank God for the physical education background, I run every day. I wake up, I go to the gym and try to put in 5 miles on the treadmill while watching, fights on the UFC or something. But that's a way to clear my mind, open my mind, and get some clarity and understanding who I am as an educational leader. And also, I try not to take work home. I do as much as I can while I'm at work. I stay focused and locked in and complete my day. I don't leave anything left over. I'd rather stay late in the office than take work home because when you go home, that's your time. That's your time to recharge, re-energize, and get motivated again because, it's like when you plug your phone in overnight and you use it throughout the day and you get home, you got 20% left. You need to plug that thing back in. So plugging in for me is going home and, probably reading or spending time with my children and just being, not Dr. Townsel, being Andraè.
Yeah, exactly. Morning walks have been really helpful for me, at least throughout this semester, because it's so different and rigorous doing, so many different courses. This is my first time taking 7 classes.
Wow.
But I'm trying to get it knocked out so by the time spring rolls around, I can focus on
So is that 21 credits?
18. This is 18.
Credits, so you got a couple. Okay, wow, that's a lot of classes. So the demand is high, I'm sure.
Yeah, demand is high, but those morning walks is helpful. I've been taking vitamins and stuff, so I do that. I just go on walks before going into work and helps clear my mind, and it helps me figure out, what I need to do. And then, you said you run. I do jog at night. It's getting challenging because it's getting dark early now, but I try to run in the evening time because, again, it just helps clear my head. I can, sort of let go of being Mr. Hawkins or being, a student, and I can just be I can just be myself and let go of all of that. And
absolutely,
that's really been helpful to me. I had a lot of anxiety towards this upcoming semester and the month of September, but as we close out, I can just say that this was a really good, solid month, and so long as I stay consistent with prioritizing my mental health, I know that I'll be good.
Absolutely, and one thing I learned is a smooth sea has never made a skilled sailor. So if there's any challenges that you're going through, overcome them and you will be stronger.
Yeah. How important is it for educators or just anybody in any career? How important is it to really persevere and get through those rough spots, those challenging moments?
That's one of the most difficult things for a lot of people to do is persevere through tough times. A lot of people, when they're faced with obstacles and challenges, the first thing to do is to protect yourself. So in most cases, people flee and fight, and that's an uncomfortable feeling. The best thing to do is embrace change. One thing I learned about organizations and organizational leadership is that you must change or you'll be forced to change. Nothing in this world is constant. The world is, or the earth is in a constant flux. So if you understand that philosophy that everything is always changing, how do you adapt with the change? How flexible are you? When you think of the pandemic, when it hit instantly, the world had to change. The education environment changed instantly. You have to be able to pivot and change on the dime and still not lose the mission of what it is. So the ultimate goal is to be prepared more than anything. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. So that's personal development, laboring with the language, laboring with communication, laboring with all of the acronyms in the field of education. So whenever it's your time to step on that stage, you can communicate and articulate your thoughts in a manner, whereas you're always projecting a screen on the scene of somebody's consciousness, or is projecting a scene on the screen of their consciousness with effective communication.
Right. One of the greatest lessons I've learned, I think, in the past 2 months has been from my mentor, Dr. Tashika Green. We did a workshop back in August, and we ran out of time. We ran out of time doing something, and she's like, "Don't worry, we're gonna assess it and reevaluate. That's how we're gonna get through it. That's how we're gonna get you guys out on time." And just those two words, assess and evaluate.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Whenever we're faced with something, we have to assess the situation, and then what can we do to evaluate the situation? And then what can we do to press forward and, move on and just figure out what can we do differently to handle it? Because I feel like so many times it's such a challenge to really, figure out, like, what do we do? And everything is so stressful and hard, but it's important to just take that step back and assess it and evaluate what can I do as a person to, resolve this conflict that's been going on.
Absolutely. I also call it monitor and adjust. You keep your hand on the pulse, and sometimes you got to make adjustments. That's okay. Every game plan that is written down does not always go to plan. You have to call an audible sometimes, and that's fine. Just have preparation is the most important thing. If you're as prepared as you can possibly be, even with your alternative planning, you will be successful.
Right. Well, I do want to thank you for your time. I do have 2 more questions for you. We can go ahead and wrap this up. But from a mental health perspective, what kind of advice would you give to someone that is right now going through some challenges or going through some valleys? They say peaks and valleys. They're in a valley right now. They're unsure how to, overcome this obstacle that's in front of them. What kind of advice would you give to someone if they came to you with a problem?
The first thing I would say is don't worry. Don't worry. The worrying, you ever heard the terminology is worry, you can worry yourself to death? Mm-hmm. Don't worry. Worrying is so unhealthy. Worry comes from not knowing an outcome of something. If it's something you cannot control, don't worry. If it's something that you can control, do everything in your power to get the outcomes right that you're looking for. So the first thing is just don't worry. If someone says, "Oh, something's about to happen," I don't worry. Because I can't control if it's about to happen or not about to happen. All I can do is be proactive and prepare as much as I possibly can. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yeah, and so my last question to you is, if you could go back and offer a piece of advice to your former self, your younger self, what would you say to that young Andraè Townsel, and how would you counsel him?
What I would say to a young Andraè coming up is continue to stay committed to excellence. You know what's right. You know what's wrong. You know what it takes through your, scholarship, education, and research. You know what it takes to be successful. You heard all the philosophy. You learned of it. Stay the course. Stay the course. Because the reality is, some things that you wish for, you do receive them. And the biggest tragedy is to get something and not be prepared for it. So stay the course. Do not get anxious. Learn as much as you can and try to experience as much as you possibly can before the big gig comes or the big opportunity comes.
Right, exactly. God always got a plan for us, and the things that we pray for, it comes at us when, he believes that we're ready for it. So I believe those things are true.
Do not rush the process. Trust the process.
Yes. Well, Dr. Townsel, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it talking with you.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely,
good seeing
sir.
you again, good brother.
Yes, sir.
And I hope to have another conversation soon.
Absolutely. You never know. You might be on the show again.
Looking forward to it.
Well, this wraps up the podcast, everybody. Stay blessed and stay encouraged.